Welcome, fans, to the debut edition of the absolutely highly anticipated Shooting from the Hip podcast with the ECW original, the one, the only Kingpin, Angel Medina. And my name is Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling. We're doing, as I just said, a pilot version of this podcast to see what the fans are interested in, but also to explore the career of Angel and his perspective on a variety of topics. So it's kind of an evergreen podcast, as we would say. Angel, Kingpin, before we get into the topic at hand, and that would be your experience working with the Dirty One Dutch Mantell, who's been in the news quite a bit lately. I'd like to ask you how you are doing today on St. Patrick's Day.
And still hardcore road trip champion. That's the first thing you should have recognized. The heavyweight champ is still in the house, bro. Look at all these years. The gold is still blinging. I'm excited to start this new venture with you, man. I mean, being with the gentleman, Jack, can't get any better. I love my Canadian fans, they gave me the honor to represent them, but St. Patty's Day I didn't really do much. Last week we had a party at a facility because today is St. Patty's Day. It's on during the week. Everybody's still working. It's a Friday. They did it last week, so it was pretty badass. We had some beer rocks, some corned beef and cabbage, and stuff like that. But like I said, it's a good day, man. It's always a good day for St. Patty's Day. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And shout out to all our fans of Irish origin out there. I am wearing the green in recognition of that. One thing before we go any further, you flashed the Hardcore Road Trip World Heavyweight Championship a moment ago. Could we get that up for the camera again? I just want to mention that you are still.
Yeah, brother, this is the Hardcore Road Trip Championship. I'm holding it upside down because the camera's backwards. But, dude, this is my pride and joy. I still represent it. I still have it in my house. This is like my trophy that I'm pretty happy. And I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm proud of this. I had a lot of titles, but I hold this dear to my heart. Like I said, it's just what's special. It's a special title, man. I'm not giving this up,
And I think you hold a significant place in wrestling history in that I just happen to have the show poster from the event where you won that belt, and see the date on that?
That's right.
That's March 2nd, 2013. So you have to be one of the longest reigning world heavyweight champions in wrestling today. Is that correct?
Well, it is, because there was no other show after that. There was another show, but there was not a show, so there was no way for me to defend it. But yeah, if you want to say that, yeah, I'm the longest reigning hardcore heavyweight title road trip, representing here.
And you're in the history books where you belong on the basis of that, amongst many other accomplishments. But just to let the fans know, we'll do a deep dive into that phenomenon, the hardcore road trip phenomenon, down the road. But today we're interested in delving your experience with, as I indicated, the Dirty One Dutch Mantell. But before we get into that, Angel, for those fans that aren't aware of your background and your history as an ECW original, where did you first become interested in the professional wrestling business, and what's a little bit of your background along those lines?
Well, brother. No, to be honest, it just started in Brooklyn, New York. That it was my passion. Started in junior high school, just like any other kid, excited, just watching wrestling. And then we just started playing wrestling in the school, making paper championships. And, I was hooked. And then, like I said, eventually, Johnny Rods, the Unpredictable One, was, in Brooklyn, New York. I saw a TV episode of, I think it was Good Day New York. And he was doing a demonstration. And I was hooked. And I went over there and signed up with him. I was 17 at the time. And then got hooked and just stayed into it until I finally got picked up by ECW.
And a lot of fans are aware of your tenure in ECW, but if you could narrow down some of your proudest moments working for that organization, what would that be?
My proudest moment? I think my
Or
proudest moment. Well, I'm just gonna say, I think the proudest moment was when I finally got an opportunity to showcase as one of the Baldies. They've had enough faith in our group, me and DeVito and Big Vito and Rob Price. I mean, Rob Price was already established, but to give us the opportunity to grab that ball and run with it, I think that was my proudest moment, because they could have been like, nah, he won't fit, just leave him on ring crew. But we paid our dues, we earned our stripes, we showed the passion, the commitment, the dedication, the drive. It was just, Paul saw it and he just decided to just give us that opportunity, and we ran with it.
you had mentioned before that your introduction to ECW was via Devon Dudley, and I'm wondering if you could expand on that a little bit, or he made the introduction to Mr. Heyman.
Well, basically, what it was is this. It's real simple. A buddy of mine was trying out to be a referee. He was one of the Gleason guys. He was telling us that he was heading down to Philadelphia. He was heading down to Philadelphia periodically during the weekends, and he was trying out to be a referee. So he was in the conversation. Let's say it was a Tuesday. He was telling me that, oh yeah, this Saturday I'm going to go to Philadelphia to practice with ECW. Oh wow, that's cool, man. That's right on, man. Good luck. So then, and I knew Devon from school, so I'm like, well, to Devon, I said, what's up? And, so then it was like a Thursday, he was just like, hey, man. I said, hey, man, well, I guess you're going to this weekend in Philly, man. You're excited? He goes, oh, man, dude, I can't go because my car's a little bit messed up and I don't think I'll be able to drive down there. So I said, well, if it's cool with Devon, I'll drive you down there. I would like to go and check it out, if it's okay with him. So he spoke to Devon. Devon told him to tell me, hey, that's fine. Tell him to bring his stuff, his gear, because you never leave, you don't go anywhere without your gear. So I went down there, and Devon just told me to get in the ring and work out with Guido, Danny Doring, Tracy Smothers was in the ring. It was just everybody from the locker room practicing, and that's what that's what happened. What's up, Guardian?
So before we talk about Puerto Rico, what was your knowledge of Dutch Mantell? Initially, and what did you have any knowledge about Dutch, or did you know he was the booker? Or actually, I should ask you, what was his capacity in Puerto Rico before or during your tenure there?
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know about him. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I was savvy in the wrestling game, but I didn't know who Dirty Dutch Mantell was. I think I kind of skimmed through him events, like in passing on magazines and stuff, but it didn't really register in my head. So I didn't have any opinion of him. I didn't even know he was the booker down there at the time. Most of my dealings was with Victor Quinones, because I met Victor Quinones in Madison Square Garden in a meeting, and he wanted to meet me. I forgot who was with him, but I still got that's weird. I still have it. The sticker they gave us at the door, like you not one of the boys, but like a press pass, like to get access. It was an all access sticker. So met Victor. We talked for a little bit. We hung out, and then what's up, Quail? Kicking it. So I told him how I was interested in going to Puerto Rico, because I was working at Bally's Total Fitness at the time. I was like doing personal training. So I needed a job after ECW folded. So, but I just kept hounding Victor to get an opportunity to go down there. This is after I met him at Madison Square Garden. So I just kept bothering him. Then finally, he was just like, fine, just, yeah, you can come down. I think it was one of those things like, bro, look, just get this guy down here. I'm tired of him calling me, leaving me voicemails. So that's how I ended up in Puerto Rico. They got my flight, flew out of JFK, and then they picked me up at the airport, and then I ended up on East La Verde Avenue in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And I stayed at the top floor of, I think it was the third floor where we were staying. It was like Dutch lived there. So when I got there, they said, hey, you're going to be staying with Lobo, Anarchy, and Dutch. So it was a two-room apartment, a condo really, and Anarchy lived in the closet, like an R. Kelly video. And then it was weird too, because it was just like it was like a comedy skit. Because when I got in, Dutch wasn't there, and they were like, "Hey, this is Dutch's room. You're gonna be sleeping. You're gonna be sharing a room with Lobo." And there was 2 beds in there, and then just like Cousin It, oh, and that's Anarchy coming out of the closet, and I'm like, "What the?" And then when I looked in there, it was like a walk-in closet, 2 sides, for clothes, and he had a twin bed in there on the floor, a small TV on a milk crate, and I'm like, you're ribbing me, right? You live in here? And he goes, oh yeah, because I guess he was, I'm not belittling him, but he was like a young boy. He was still paying dues. But I was like, God damn, in the closet, So I said, okay, but great guy. I love him to death. But it was a funny moment, him coming out the closet. No pun intended.
So when you were at Puerto Rico and you first got there, what were your thoughts as to the nature of the promotion? Because we've heard a lot, especially around that time frame, that it was quite a chaotic, violent environment, and the payoffs were less than desirable. Was that what kind of a? I guess what I'm asking is, what kind of a deal were you guaranteed when you went down, if any?
Well, my deal was pretty cool because I never missed a payday. They never. Sorry, somebody. I don't want to lower my ringtone here before somebody calls me. Hey, I'll see you on Facebook. But I was getting paid a decent amount, and it never deviated. Then a lot of the stories was coming from Carlos's side of the fence. I'm not knocking it because I never worked for him, but that I always heard the story like, yeah, he always shorts you, and then he says he'll pay you next week, or I'll pay you next week when that week came, and then you get your money. So everybody was kind of living like paycheck to paycheck. But with Victor, he never ever stiffed me on my pay, and it was pretty. The violence there. The only thing, I'm not gonna lie to you, the only thing that I was like, holy shit, it was Invader that he was there, and we're in the locker room, and I'm like, I'm not lying. I'm a pretty tough guy, but when you see the man, the myth, the legend of what the incident with the Bruiser Brody story, you're like, holy shit, that's Invader, So that was the only thing that was kind of like, oh fuck, But there was no issues, man. That locker room was great. They welcomed me with open arms. All those guys were from Apollo to Anarchy to just everybody. Bronco, Cheeky Star. They were all class act people that were in the locker room. Never had an issue.
When you first encountered Jose Gonzalez Invader, what was your impression of him, and how was he treated, given this infamous backstory with Bruiser Brody?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't really talk to him. I kept my distance. I was doing like a prison movie. I was putting like book magazines and taping it on my body just to make sure body armor. They'll get shivved and shit, And I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying I was afraid of him, but since that was not my neck of the woods, my hood, if you might say, I just wanted to keep my distance, and it was just high and by. That was it. There was no interaction with him. I just knew the story about the Brody incident, and that's all I needed to know.
A fan wants to know, Larry wants to know, did you ever cross paths with Jamie Dundee and Wolfie D in Puerto Rico, otherwise known as PG-13?
What's up, Larry? No. The only people that were there, it was the Gringo Loco, and that was with D'Lo Brown, and now I forgot his name. Oh my God, Martian Thrasher from WWF.
The Headbangers?
The Headbangers, not the one with the chain. Chad,
not Glenn Ruth. Okay.
Yeah, Chad. Because he was playing like the Leave It to Beaver character when he got like rebuilt. Yeah, he was there as the Gringo Loco. They were pretty hot. They were pretty funny. They were cool guys too. Like I said, they were about to leave. They were finishing up their run as the Gringo Locos there. And they were pretty hot. They were the most like hated tag team at the time, and they were like, I don't know how many times tag team heavyweight champions, but yeah, I hung out with them. They were pretty cool, but it was short.
What did you were there, and we'll get into your time frame that you were there exactly. But do you have any standout matches during your time in that promotion?
Yeah, I mean, one guy, man. I mean, all of them were great, but the one that stood out the most is Glamour Boy Shane. That dude was the most exciting. He was like the Ric Flair of Puerto Rico. You know, long blonde hair, built, just not great body. Fans loved him. He just had those blonde hair, blue eyes. You know, he was a tremendous worker. I have nothing negative to say about him. Meaning, like, you know, saying like he was a shit. The guy was just awesome. You know, even like talked to me one time when I fucked up a spot. I just something clicked in me that I don't want to get hit with a ladder, and I just fucked it up. And he's like, "Hey man, I thought you wanted to get hit," and I'm like, I got gun shy. And but like I say, he was just an awesome dude. Like I said, I never big Russ McCullough, great dude. But like I said, the one that stood out the most was Glamour Boy Shane.
And you mentioned somewhat of an under-heralded name in the business, that being Chicky Star. Did you get any opportunity to work with him, or do you have any information about him in the locker room that the fans would be interested in?
No, man. Like I said, when I got there, they put me in the La Cooperación as part of his individuals at the time. And like I said, he's a ring general. He was really nice to me. I mean, I'm a fellow Puerto Rican, you know, so he was just really, really nice. Gave me some advice. You know, I take advice from anybody who's been in the business that long. I mean, Chicky Star is a legend in Puerto Rico. I wish he was one of those guys that branched out of Puerto Rico. But I mean, he had a legacy there as is. But I would have loved to see him in like WCW, NWA, WWE, you know. But you know, Vince would have probably put him in the merengueros with fucking you know, dancing on the fucking out with the silk shirts and the fucking fedoras and shit with fucking what were they? Now I forgot the name with Savio Vega and you know, there was
Los Boricuas.
Yeah, Las Boricuas. I mean, the most shittiest gimmick I ever seen. I'm not knocking it. It's just I'm like, God damn it. I mean, that's so stereotypical. You know, next thing they would have walked to the ring with plantains and you know, and guitars and stuff. So you know, I mean, Chicky Star is a guy who is just ridiculously like popular in Puerto Rico. You know, but I don't think Vince would have gave him the opportunity to shine.
Yeah. So you mentioned your initial lack of encounter with Dutch. When you were there, did you encounter Dutch, and what were your initial impressions of him?
Well, I mean, my initial encounter with Dutch is because we were sharing the same condo. So eventually I bumped into him. We shook hands, you know, not really, but he was more arrogant. Like the problem with this business, and it's not the problem, it's just like, you know, he's just like, well, I'm Dutch Mantell. I've been in this business longer than you. It's like when Johnny used to tell me, oh, you could die 50 times. You could be in the business for 30 years. I always have like 20 years ahead of you. So, you know, I would never catch up. So he was a little bit arrogant, you know, I'm the booker, you know, but again, I didn't mind that. I didn't care. My first impression was he was just a typical, you know, I'm not saying redneck, but just country guy, you know, living down there. And we didn't have any problems. We just didn't really talk, man. I didn't really have much to say to him. You know, he was one of those guys that I didn't think we will vibe, but it was just something personal in my head. Like he's not somebody I'll go out and have a beer with, you know, like that type of thing. I just kept my distance. What are you thinking? You letting it marinate?
Sorry, you froze for a second. Could you restate the last little bit of that, please?
Oh, that's kind of, I said I didn't have any opinion about him. It's just that I kept my distance. So I didn't have any reason to dislike him or like him because he was not the type of guy I'll have a beer with.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I was moving and you was moving. I'm like, okay, you're not saying nothing, but I guess on your side I froze.
Yeah, that's StreamYard for you. We have some issues sometimes, but we plow through. So you, when you met him and he was booking, what did he have you figured in, or what was your understanding of your role, and did that change, or did you have any understanding at all when you met him about creative?
The only thing that was changed in regards to creative, because I was coming in as the ECW guy, but they wanted to change my name. They said we already had an Angel here, so they didn't want to get rid of my name, but they just called me the New Rican Baldy, and I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, I don't give a shit, I was just like, I'm here to work. I'm here to, and just, but everybody knew I was from ECW. It's just they didn't want the confusion. It's like having two Ricks, but since I was like Madonna or Prince, I only had that Angel monarchy. So he was the same thing. He had Angel, the manager. So they just didn't want confusion. So I was like, man, I wasn't mad. And again, this is not my neck of the woods, meaning Angel was there for a long time. He was a manager. It was kind of weird to change his name, while I was, because everybody already knew him. So, I mean, they could have kept the Kingpin, instead of Angel, but it just didn't. They just said New Rican Baldy. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. I didn't care.
So you had an incident with Dutch, which will, illuminate the fans as to some of your feelings about him. Do you want to go into that?
Well, the situation with Dutch, I don't like him. I can't stand him. I'll piss on his grave. I'll peel his skin off and make use it for fishing bait. But I just don't like the guy, because the thing is that with him is I kept my nose clean. I was always on time. I never complained, but he always had like, I'm the boss. I'm the booker. I'm the guy with the pencil. Fine. This is your world, whatever. But the one thing that crossed my eyes really is because he was looking for anarchy. I was upstairs in the condo, just hanging out, watching TV, watching one of the shows that was being aired, and I was recording it. So he came in. Well, before he came in, Anarchy showed up with this girl, and he's, hey, how you doing? Oh yeah, I'm fine. Whatever. And then he was like, hey, I'm gonna go in the room, with this girl. Is it cool? I'm like, I don't care, man. Not on my bed. So of course he was in the closet, back in the closet. So maybe 30 minutes later, Dutch comes in and he's like, he walked in the house for a second and started doing some stuff. And then he says, hey, have you seen Anarchy? And I'm like, so in my head, I'm like, well, I don't want to stooge him out, because he's a young boy and didn't want to get him in trouble. So what happened was Dutch was walking out the door and he stopped for whatever reason. Maybe he heard something. I didn't hear anything, but he just gave this like weird stop as he reached the doorknob, and he just went to the back of the room. So then when he came back, he pointed to me. It's like, hey, you need to get that girl out of here. So I did this look like, what do you mean I got to get this girl out of here? That's not my girl, So he left. Anarchy came out like, embarrassed. The girl left with the kid because there was a kid there. She had a baby, like 6-month-old or something, or maybe 8-month-old. And Dutch was like, I can't remember the whole thing, but I think it's because the girl was there and the baby was there. He told me to get, I got to get rid of her. He went downstairs. Anarchy left with the girl. So then I'm like, I got to check my email. So I went to the office because Victor had three apartments. One on the second and first floor that was set up as a studio office type of thing. The third floor was where, myself, Dutch, Lobo, and Arnicky were staying. And then all the way up at the top floor, maybe the 6th floor or something like that, that was Victor's apartment. So when I went downstairs, I was checking my email. As soon as I checked my email, he walked behind me. I could see him like behind me, and he grabbed me, spun me around. He goes, hey, man, next time I ask you where Anarchy is, you need to tell me, because the next time you don't tell me that, you'll find yourself back in New York. And he just hit that wrong nerve at the time. And I'm like, bro, I grabbed myself. Who the fuck you talking to, man? I'm not one of these kids. Wrong motherfucker, bro. Don't think it, don't get it. I came on my face because I was already bitter about ECW folding, and I wasn't going to take shit from nobody. So that's what happened. So then as soon as that happened, as soon as I told him off, I went to Victor like, what the fuck is this problem? Blah, blah, blah. Well, he's the booker and, I can't really do much. He handles the locker room, whatever. So then all the promises that I had, like the free housing, he was like, hey, you got to move out. We're getting somebody from Canada. I think it was Abyss. at the time. We need that space. Oh, hey, you need to get a lift to the shows. We can't ride you to the shows. So I was like, so I noticed that since I spoke up for myself, he was taking away all the promises that I was originally agreed to. He's no, that was only for just to get your feet, wet and make sure, get yourself situated. You have to get your own place, your own car. So I was like, all right, motherfucker. So then I said, you know what? I was just bitter. And I'm like, you know what? I'm taking a vacation. So I left on September 17th and I just never went back. They waited for me at the airport. And it was my fault. I should have spoke to Savio, but I was just so pissed, and every time I mentioned it, oh, well, it's Dutch's, he runs the locker room. All right. So I just left. I just didn't want to stay there. So I just walked away,
And this was because you weren't going to stooge off a coworker. Is that the bottom line?
He wanted me to be the good little boy. Yes, sir, boss. Anything you want, massa? Like he wanted, like, no matter who it is, he's like, you do what I say. I'm your boss. You need to chirp like a bird and tell me what's going on. And that's one thing I don't do. I don't stooge out the boys. So that's he didn't like how I came across to him. And I don't give a fuck. You don't disrespect me. And that's what he was doing. He was disrespecting me, especially who the fuck I was. And I'm not saying I'm a Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan, but I earned my, paid my dues. And I don't know who the fuck he is. He's just a mid-carder, curtain jerker. He has a low mid-card name. I don't give a fuck who he is, So that's why he didn't like that, because I didn't break under pressure.
So it sounds like a difficult situation all the way around, based on a lack of respect, because you were, an experienced worker at that time. You'd been with a major organization on television. Did you ever, quote unquote, reconcile with Dutch, or how did the
fuck no? He could suck my dick. He could take my black cock and pull the skin back like an overripe banana and suck it. That motherfucker. I hate him.
Still heat there.
I hate him, dude. I want to punch him in the mouth because he thinks he is the king of kings, and he doesn't know who he's fucking with. I'm not doing a new Jack or just, but he, I just not going to eat his shit. You show a wrestler respect. And then, the funny thing is that, when I went to, I'll tell you the story. Homicide called me years later. Hey man, we're trying to do this angle. We have this new group called the LAX. I think you make a great fit, brother. Are you interested? I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm interested. And then, I told, he goes, yeah, okay. So then I told Devon was going to put in the word. Homicide wanted me to meet Terry Taylor because it was coming to my neck of the woods. So I met Terry Taylor. We talked and everything went great. And then Dutch didn't know. Dutch and Savio was running the locker room for Impact. And when he found out what happened, he found out it was me. He was like, yo, I don't want this motherfucker here. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then Devon called me like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? What's the heat with you and Dutch? And I told him, he goes, yeah, he's stopping you. He's stopping everything. I can't do nothing for you, which is fine. Because Devon always put the word in for me. But he was like, yeah, he just keeps nixing it and stuff. And it was between me and Hernandez. And nothing against Hernandez. Like I said, he got the spot. I did it, and he ran with it. But it's just it's just funny how it could have been me with Homicide. And that's what just pissed me off, that this motherfucker, again, he's just trying to get one over on me to say, oh yeah, I stopped your, your career, because, and then everybody said, well, what's this heat you got with that? What do you mean this fucking heat? Because I stood up for myself? Because I didn't say, oh yes, sir, he got heat with me because he's the one that disrespected me. So I don't give a fuck if I have heat with him, bring him on the show. I'll fucking curse him out. It'll be a cursing fest on this show.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. We've been reaching out to Dutch from the Old School Shooters podcast to come on and clarify some of his recent statements about the Fabulous Moolah, and he respectfully declined. Just
why is
circling back? He just said he wasn't interested.
But why would he do the other shows? And I'm sorry, I'm just curious. Like, I'm trying to pick your brain. So all the other shows that I watched on YouTube, which doesn't have I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying I never heard of them. I never seen who these guys were. Out of all the other people that, why not do your show compared to doing those shows? Because they will not ask the hard hitting questions. They're afraid to overstep their bounds, and he knew he was safe.
Well, I think with respect to the fabulous Moolah issue, the female women's wrestling historian Nigel Sherrod was on the Old School Shooters podcast last week, actually, with myself and King of Connecticut, Matt Granahan, and he has a very deep knowledge as to the career of Fabulous Moolah and her operation, her Camp Moolah, and took a lot of exception to Dutch's comments with respect to alleging, various misdeeds on Moolah's part, and he does not wish to come on there with a respectful discourse, of course, and clear the air. So I really can't. It is a little strange that he will, do other podcasts aside from his own and discuss an issue that we're going to get to in a minute. But yeah, I wouldn't think he would come on this show as well.
Well, my honest opinion is, like I just mentioned it before. I think a lot of those shows, and again, I'm not disrespecting them. I just think a lot of those guys that haven't been in the business are showing him the respect and not asking those questions that because he might get off the air and he'd be, oh my God, we just offended. You know what I mean? So when it comes to like pro wrestlers, guys who are seasoned, like Hannibal, myself, or somebody who is established or who don't give two shits, we're going to speak our mind. And if he clicks off, and we keep rolling with the show. And I think that's the reason he's picking and choosing certain people, because he knows that they won't overstep that bound and keep it real mellow, real vanilla, and let him talk the shit, but never ask those hard hitting questions.
Which is unfortunate, because there's a lot of that in the pro wrestling podcast industry. There's a lot of, I mean, I don't consider myself to be a reporter per se, but if there are germane questions to be asked by a guest, I'll ask them, and again, in a respectful manner. But I think there's a disservice to the audience and the fans when you just play it straight up the middle and avoid any sort of controversial content if it's germane, not for the sake of being salacious, but if it's germane to the argument.
Well, and that's absolutely, you got to be like that Roddy Piper slogan. What was that? You ask the questions, I change the answers, or you know what I mean? That I don't know if I said
just
that right.
When they think they have the answers, I change the questions.
Yeah, so that's my assumption, he's afraid of that. Like I said, he wants just a regular interview. He's in control, and he and nobody's going to ask him this far to the left question that puts him on the spot. That's just my opinion.
Which is unfortunate, because one would think if you express an opinion, you have the capacity to back that up if put on the spot.
No, and absolutely, and that's the reason why we have this show. I mean, we are shooting from the hip. We don't hold punches. I don't care who I offend. I don't care who it is. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm not going to be this cookie cutter show where everybody's like, hey, Stone Cold, what is your favorite color? Is it true that you like root beer on Sundays? It's just a repetitive thing. So why not shake the tree and see what falls out and ask those hard-hitting questions that nobody would dare ask?
Speaking of which, you seem to have had a detriment. Well, obviously that spot in LAX would have been huge.
Oh yeah,
probably in the the prime years, and I'm a fan of TNA. And
you saying I'm not in my prime?
No.
Ooh, cool.
Prime years of the promotion.
Oh yeah, good save.
Good save there, right? Yeah, we're both teammates, brother, so I get it. But I must comment that if you were in that spot, it would have been huge. Conan, Homicide, a tremendous worker, some really amazing programs LAX were involved in with AJ Styles and Daniels, on and on and on.
I would have had a blast. I mean, being with Homicide, I know Homicide since from the gate, from back in New York. I mean, like I said, he thought of me. He knew I could handle it. He liked how I worked, so it would have been a blessing to go work for them, but Dutch just chopped my legs, you know. And this is the philosophy I live. Like, that's why I'm mad at him as well, because, you know, it's just like the movie Friday. Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions, and he played with my emotions, and you took food out of my plate, and that's the key factor. So I will choke him. I'll be like, remember when in Friday when the dad was sitting on the toilet, he goes, when he's like, I'll grab him, I'll choke him, I'll put my foot in his ass, bang, bang, bang. You know, that's how. You know, I can't stand the guy. You know.
Well, considering, you know, de facto wise in his scope of influence, you know, he had you blackballed from, you know, again, some pretty prime spots, and who knows what would have. Second, we're freezing. Now we're back. You who knows what would have happened from that LAX situation? The sky could have been the limit, et cetera, et cetera. So, what advice would you have for younger talents? Not necessarily dealing with Mr. Mantell, but locker room politics in pro wrestling. It's renowned. What advice would you have for those younger individuals that are, you know, trying to make their bones in the industry that encounter a similar situation?
Well, I mean, for younger individuals like getting in the business, of course you got to mind your P's and Q's. You have to earn your stripes. So you have to eat crap, you know, in the beginning. Once you establish yourself as one of the top stars or one of the main card guys, you know, and you earn everybody's respect, then you'll be able to chip your teeth a little bit and voice your opinion. You know, so somebody out the gate, definitely don't do anything to ruin your career, you know. But once you get to that level when you know you're like, okay, I'm a cog in the wheel of this company, that they need me, then that's when you know, be able. And again, don't be disrespectful, but just speak up for yourself. You know, don't curse the guy out or whatever. There's a point where you could, but speak your mind, but be professional. Ask questions, even if you don't understand. Like, if you think it's something against you, still ask the questions like, hey, is it something I did? You know, I mean, what can I do to rectify it? Then, you know, as time goes on, then you just start building up steam, and then you can speak your mind and do more and more and more. You know, you don't want to be a dick in the business, but you at least don't want to be walked all over.
And I think that's you know, you raise a very salient point in that you can't you know, you can't be too, I guess, pushy until you have a name and a track record. But those that are too compliant end up getting caught up in the machine and taking advantage of. It's just human nature, correct?
Yeah, but the only thing about this business is different than back in the days. Now everybody's all sensitive, and there's the cancel culture, and yeah, the good old days, buddy. You know, DeVito's going to be a grandfather. Can you believe that?
No
Yeah,
way, really?
yeah. I'm
Good for
happy.
him.
Yeah, good for him. Yeah, I'm happy for him. You know, but you know, in this business, it's just something that you just gotta like. It's just weird, man. It's not like back in the days. Now it's like everybody's like, "Ooh, he's teasing me, cancel." You know, yeah, he said I'm flat, canceled. You know, so now you just got to be careful. Me, I really don't care. You can try to cancel me. I don't care. I really don't. But now everybody's oversensitive. I mean, look at you know, one of the football players in the United States. He's going to court. Julius, I think it's not Julius Irving, is it?
No,
No, I don't know. I can't
I
remember.
know the guy, but I can't remember the name either.
Yeah, I'm put on the spot. But anyway, like, you can't do anything, and people just make these accusations. Oh, he did this, he did that, with no proof. Just all you have to do is say it, and it causes issues for people. So you got to be careful where you tread.
So I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the very quote unquote hot news of this week anyway, and that's Dutch and his ongoing social media quote unquote feud with Ric Flair. And for the fans that may not have heard of this, Dutch spoke on his podcast in response to Flair making comments about how great a match his last match was the end of July last year, and he made 300,000, et cetera, et cetera. And then Flair responded in with some derogatory comments, and it seems to still be going on back and forth. But the sad part about this is, you know, carrying on these beefs over social media, on podcasts, et cetera, et cetera. I just wanted to get your take for the fans, knowing at least Dutch pretty well. How do you feel that that's been handled, and what's your larger opinion on those in the wrestling business carrying on these very public, ugly sort of quote unquote feuds?
I mean, it's kind of good for the business. I mean, when you have feuds and people will say things, But I mean, I don't understand why Dutch was getting on Ric Flair. I'm not saying that was the best match that he had for that pay per view. I mean, the guy's how old is he? 76,
73 or 4.
74. I mean, I hate saying he's old, but he's not the Ric Flair of yesteryear. I mean, he could only do so much. And then he said he was drunk. I mean, you don't put somebody on blast like that, man. You should be like, hey, man, he tried. If he would have died in the ring, it is what it is. Like Ric Flair said, he wanted to, if he died in the ring, he probably would have been happy dying in the ring, doing something he loves. But just to say, oh, he didn't make 300,000. Oh, he was drunk in this ring. Like, what are you gonna win with that? Like, why shit on the guy? That's just not right. I just don't think that he should have just said anything. He just has no. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know why he would have shit on him. That's the only problem. I really don't know why he would have brought that up.
Well, I think it was Dutch referring to Flair allegedly commenting or putting over the impression that I basically I was in this tremendous shape, which he was not, clearly. In my opinion, that was a horrendous match, notwithstanding the best efforts of Jeff Jarrett, Lethal, and Andrade. But all that notwithstanding, Flair was making comments to the effect of, basically, screw you fans, I made 300,000. And I think that's initially what sparked the comments by Dutch.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, the guy it's Ric Flair. Sometimes the name overshadows the talent. And I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm just saying that he couldn't do the same thing he was doing. You're there to see Ric Flair. And he had surgery, he's not the same as he used to be. So you're just there to see him in person. It's just like watching the Rolling Stones or watching Def Leppard. Yeah, those guys are old as dirt. But you still go to that concert. They're still not going to be gyrating and doing all these, they'll blow their back out. That osteoporosis might kick in and they'll snap their spine. So, but you're there to see the name. And I just think, they should have let it be. I don't know why Dutch had to intervene and just put his 2 cents in. I mean, the guy, it was never a main eventer. He was just drizzling shits. He should be happy for what he got as, with, We the People angle and all that stuff. And he should be blessed. So I just don't understand why he would shit on Ric Flair like that. I mean, like I said, I'm not a huge mark for Ric Flair. I'm just saying that, hey, let the guy have his, his day in the sunshine, and just let it be. If he made 300,000, he made 300,000. That's his business.
Well, and that's kind of the point of pro wrestling, is to make money. And if he made that amount of money, even though the match wasn't anything at all to write home about, then that's good for him.
No, I agree. That's the thing. I mean, Dutch is making, accusations with Moolah. He knew him, I didn't, and putting her on blast, saying that she's pimping out all these girls, but that was their choice. They could have be pimped out or not be pimped out. That's their business.
Well, Angel, do you have any final thoughts on in general your experience with Dutch in Puerto Rico, TNA to this day, that they'd like to let the fans in on?
No, man, not really, man. I mean, I hit every key point about hating the guy. I mean, there's nothing else I can say about him. I don't have no love for the guy. I don't have any respect for the guy. Like I told you, if he passes away tomorrow, I will celebrate it every year at the time of death, and open a bottle for Chardonnay and just enjoy it. I will relish it. I can't stand the man. And he could say whatever he wants to say about me, but he would never say it in my face. So, but for you guys out there that are in the business and are still trying to get your feet wet and still trying to make a name for yourself, mind your P's and Q's until you're at that level where you could say something. don't take my advice at the beginning of your career.
Well, and they do say living well is the best revenge. Wanted to also let the fans know that if you have any questions for Angel or any topics that you'd like us to address on the podcast, we're more than open to that. Like we said initially, this is an evergreen project, and we want to meet the fans' demand for content as well as think outside the box and not present your average pro wrestling podcast. Isn't that right, Angel?
He forgot my name. Is it 80? Right. Angel. No, absolutely. Like I said, we want to be something different. We want to talk about any type of topic. It doesn't have to be wrestling. It could be conspiracy theories. It could be UFOs. It could be some scandal that just happened in like in the movie industry. We want to make something different. We want to make an impact in the podcast world. So, like I said, there's nothing we won't talk about. So if you guys have any questions or any ideas that you want us to talk about, please send it to us. Send it to the, gentleman Jack here. I know you want to hear him more than you want to hear me. Cause like I said, I'm a curtain jerker, man. I'm the bottom of the card, brother. I'm just entertaining, and that's what it's all about. Entertaining you fans. And like I said, we're always going to be shooting from the hip. We keep it straight.
Well, Angel, you're definitely the draw. I'm just a simple moderator, if you will. Where can the folks find you on social media to send that feedback that we're talking about here?
Oh, go to my Facebook called Black Gravy. No, just kidding. No, I mean, you can find me, Angel L. Medina on Facebook, Kingpin 4Q on Instagram. I mean, like I said, I'm easily found. So like I said, if you have any questions, any concerns, you can shoot it our way, or I don't know if we have an email set up for shooting from the hip, so you can send it to that. We'll set it up. We'll probably post it if we don't have one. And like I said, nothing's taboo, man. Nothing's taboo.
Awesome. Well, I think we've established an interesting beachhead here. Look forward to new episodes as they arise, where we'll keep the fans updated in terms of our scheduling. Look at that.
It's Joe Boo, man.
That is an excellent mascot for the show with a little beverage.
Rum here.
Little rum.
Joe Boo's rum.
Before we go, though, Angel, do you want to pull out the title again and show the fans? Because I know that's what they're pining for at home.
And still right here, brother. Hey, relish it, enjoy it. I want to come back to Canada. Like I said, I love the Canadian people. It's just fucking cold, but I love the food. I love that Tim Hortons, Boston pizza, poutine. What's that thing called? The Canadian bacon, but you guys call it P-meal.
P-meal bacon.
Yeah. I was like, hey, and that's a funny story. I told the lady, excuse me, waitress, what's this? She's like, P-meal? That's your version of Canadian bacon. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take that.
It's very salty. Before we go, though, I just want to get a personal plug in for the Great North Wrestling 15th anniversary event coming May the 6th in Ottawa at the Earl Armstrong Arena. We've got a loaded card headlined by the Cowboy James Storm, former World Heavyweight Champion of TNA Impact, Kevin Sullivan, the WCW legend, managing the diabolical and ruthless Blood Hunter, Black Dynamite, Jeremy Prophet, Jessica Black, the former Great North Wrestling Women's Champion. Jeremy Prophet is the current and defending Canadian champion, both of which were on A&E in September. And amongst others, the conspiracy horsemen of Greek god Papadon and Ayatollah bin Hameen, on and on. We will be announcing further attractions as the weeks go on. So check out ticketweb.ca for advanced tickets, as well as at the door. We will have tickets, but they'll go up a bit there, but get them because they're going to be gone pretty fast. Man. Watch the Hannibal TV for more information.
That's a stacked card, man, especially with Greek God, he Papadon, you got bin Hameen. Those are talented individuals. I mean, they're great guys. I mean, the card is stacked with talent. So I'm telling you, man, you guys got to check it out. I know I'm not going to be there, with the title. But hey, the only reason I'm not going to beat it, I'm not going to lie, I was supposed to get ankle surgery and I had to postpone it. So once I get that surgery and heal up, I'm back on the ring. So hopefully, Gentleman Jack will bring me in once I'm 100% healed. But they always save the best for last.
Well, that's absolutely true. I, for one, want to see the Kingpin finally put up that HRT World Heavyweight Championship, and we will be announcing further dates this year. So fans, stay tuned. But until then, thank you for tuning in. Stay advised for further podcasts and continue to watch wrestling. Take care, everybody.
And that's a shoot.
That's a shoot.